Hello, everyone. I am the Dynamite Doll, and this is episode number 4 of Dirt with the Doll. My next guest is someone who I am so blessed to call my friend. We've only known each other for under a year, but before that, he is the son of the 9-time world champion, Harley Race, Justin Race. Thank you for being here. Welcome
Thank
to
you,
the Dollhouse.
Thank you, Bronwyn. It's so good to see you again.
It is
Thank you
so
so much for
good to
inviting me
see
on.
you. I know. I so
8
appreciate you
times.
being here.
No, you gave him credit for one more. 8-time world champion.
8-time.
But I'm sure he'd take 9.
Oh, well, it just keeps adding on every year.
Yeah.
So, let's make it 9.
Well, counting the countless other titles all over the world.
I mean, you have been constantly traveling, accepting awards. You recently just accepted an award for your father at the Cauliflower Alley. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, unfortunately, my mother was ill right before we were leaving, and she's a little bit older, and I didn't feel comfortable leaving her by herself. So I was not able to attend, and I really, really missed it. But I did have Dennis McCall. He's Attila, except for me. He's been a friend of mine and a friend of my father's for 20, 30 years. And I had him have to accept in my honor or in my place for my father. But next year, hopefully, I'll be able to present it to someone else or do something, because it is the Harley Race Posthumous Award. So,
that's so great. So this was the
first. It is a great time, though. I mean, that's the first CAC I missed. It's always a great time, and I was really wanting to be there, but mom takes priority.
Yes, and that's so great. You were still able to submit your speech, and
yes, I did.
What you wanted to say, and
yeah.
And do you have the plaque with you there?
Yeah, it's right back
somewhere amongst all the plaques.
Hold on.
He, of course, is one of only 6 men to be inducted into all of the Hall of Fames. So it is so wonderful that you were able to accept another award on behalf of your father.
I know it's bittersweet, because, now me collecting them for him without him doing it. In fact, this Hall of Fame, the International Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame in Albany, New York, it's a great Hall of Fame. I would recommend anybody in that area to drop by and take a look at it.
Is that the one you just went to last weekend?
In October.
Weekends ago?
Mm-hmm. But great Hall of Fame relics in there. They actually have it's made out of iron and wood, the hair curling machine that Gorgeous George wore in this museum. Yeah, wow. They have some really interesting stuff. So anyway, this was the first time that I ever actually accepted a Hall of Fame ring on my father's behalf, or in his honor. And ever since then, like at the CAC and whatever, it's very humbling to have people. It's almost like they look up to, since he's not there, they look up to me, and I'm like, I didn't do it.
Yeah.
But everyone always wants to hear Harley stories.
And they are great stories, as we know. Our fathers were great friends.
Yes, they were.
That's why it's super special that we connected this year and became friends through this wild world of wrestling. It was like we were meant to be. We felt like they connected us. And
yeah. Well, I mentioned to you that amongst some others, but just recently, or within a year or so, I met and talked to Ross and Marshall Von Erich, Kevin's kids. Yeah. And we were doing a podcast, but we got on 10 minutes before just to say hi and whatever. And by the time the podcast started, we felt like we were a family.
Yeah.
Because there's so many things it's so unspoken in between. I don't have to tell you what it feels like to watch your dad get hurt or get bloody or get, I don't have to. You can try to explain it to other people, but no one really knows what it feels like until it's their dad.
Right.
And so there's a commonality amongst us kids and the fathers of, especially the old school the old school guys, their kids. There's just it's a bond, just like with the wrestlers. I remember Kevin said that Marshall, that Kevin Von Erich was actually dropping his kids off, Marshall and Ross, at my dad's wrestling school. And they had described it to me, and I've seen it 100 times. When Kevin and my dad saw each other and they hugged, it was kind of like two like old war buddies seeing each
Yeah.
other again that had saved each other's life. It was just nothing was spoken, maybe a tear and a hug and a good grasp on the hand. Of course, Kevin had with the claw and all, he'd have to grab a hold of my dad's name. It was something goofy, but it was like they never, it was like they'd just been there the day before.
That's true. It reminds me of you saying that when I went back to England to revisit my dad, and this was, in his last years of his life, I had my dad and Bret Hart, my uncle Bret, Skype, and they hadn't talked to each other for years.
Oh, wow.
And my dad was, he didn't have the internet. He didn't even have cable. Like, he had no idea what this was in front of him. He's Skyping Bret Hart. And he was a man of little words.
Bret, why are you here? How'd you get here?
Yeah, he's like, what? I'm like, Mom, Dad, I brought this to you from Canada.
Yeah.
Here's Bret in a box. But so they Skyped and this was after his strokes, and he didn't speak a lot at that point. But I could see that like unspoken bond that you're talking about, that these men shared, these incredible moments together, training and having matches and learning and growing together, and they were family too. So,
well, when you're standing on a concrete floor and there's a table behind you and you're going to suplex the guy into a table, the guy that's getting suplexed in the table better damn well trust you to let you do it, or not to let you do it. But I mean, there has to be a bond. There has to be a trust in there that's besides, soldiers, watching each other's back. There really isn't another type of sport that's like that, or any occupation that's like that, where you're literally putting your trust in another man's hands and hoping that, okay, Harley, you're going to hit the table, not the chairs, right? You're aimed right? So they put in tremendous amount of trust in each other. They have and which leads to tremendous amount of respect for each other. Yeah. Especially guys like you, your father and my father, that would do just about anything to get a cheer from the fans. I mean, your dad did some things that, my dad would be like, I couldn't do that when I was 14 years old.
Yeah. So the first promotion your ever dad worked for was in the carnival circuit, and in Missouri. And they let people, like fans would bet, or they could challenge wrestlers. Sorry.
Well, yeah, back in the day, and this would have been in northern Missouri, southern Iowa, that kind of area. A little bit Nebraska.
I found this out by watching Dark Side of the Ring. So,
well, there's some things in there that aren't quite correct.
Yeah,
but he started in the carnival, and he was
plant your father in the audience as someone that's going to bet.
Most of the time, he was like the guy in the ring, and these big old, hillbilly farmer guys, 300 pounds. They lift their tractors to move them. Pay a nickel, and they're drunk. Pay a nickel to beat the guy in the ring. So my dad was the guy in the ring, and you never know what you were going to get. You could get some military guys that really knew how to fight. You just get a big old tough boy like I was talking about.
Yeah.
Sometimes, dad would plant in the ring, and he'd be the one. Then they'd put someone else that beat the guy in the ring, and dad would be the plant, just so they could see that somebody actually won every once in a while, because dad would go up and actually beat the guy in the ring and win the 25 cents or whatever it was to prove that
wow.
or a nickel or whatever it was. But he would, to lend off. This was to lend authenticity to it. So, the guy in the ring can get beat. Yeah. But that's how he got his start. He even wrestled the bear in the carnival.
Oh, wow. Are there pictures of that? The bear.
Oh God, I haven't seen any. I'd love to see some. I don't know how many cameras there were in a sweaty, hot tent in northern Missouri in the middle of summer with my dad wrestling a bear in the 1960s, early 1960s. I don't know how many cameras.
There was a bear also involved in Stampede wrestling, so I wonder if it was the same bear.
I don't know. Well, Dad was always involved up there for the Calgary was the Calgary Stampede?
Yeah. Or the Stampede wrestling, or
no, not Stampede.
We do have a yearly.
Was it the Calgary Stampede? Yeah. Was that it? He was the Grand Marshal one year.
Okay.
And they got him this big 10-gallon cowboy hat. Well, that's what they're called, 10-gallon hats. but my dad has like a 20-gallon head, especially with the afro. So this hat looked like a sombrero. And he's sitting on the back of a Cadillac, riding through in the parade, waving at all the people.
I have pictures of my dad in the same parade, but I haven't seen ones of your dad either.
Oh God. I kept laughing because I told him he looked like he had a sombrero on.
But they gave him that, right? So it must have been
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah. His name was in the side of it, Grand Marshal for whatever year it was, and the inside of the hat on the felt or whatever, or the satin.
So your dad, during the carnival circuit, he became a driver for Happy Humphrey, and he was what, an 800-pound wrestler?
Somewhere between 700 and 900, anywhere, depending on
oh my goodness
when he ate last and depending on a few factors. Well, when Dad was in the carnival, he kind of got noted a bit, and there was a promoter in St. Joe, Missouri, which is about 90 minutes north of Kansas City, named Gus Karras, and this was in the 60s, probably 50s too, but I know the 60s and the 70s. And Gus noticed my father, and my father started just kind of hanging around the office, doing odd jobs, getting Gus coffee or go out and get the guys lunch or just whatever he could to stay around and to listen to conversations and learn stuff. Kind of like not the real younger guys, because they're kind of getting their own thing going, but the generation before right now used to sit. I remember when Dad and like Terry Funk or somebody would sit there and talk, and these guys would be like they were 4 years old on Christmas morning looking at Santa Claus talk. Just absorbing this information from this hundreds and hundreds of years of wrestling experience they have talking in front of them.
Yeah.
Okay. So with that being said, now I forgot what I was saying. I got off on Christmas.
Well, we were talking about the carnivals. I was talking about Happy Humphrey.
Yeah. So he was doing everything he could around the office for Gus. One of the things Gus
I didn't want to work for Happy Humphrey anymore. Or is it when he comes in?
Well, no, this is beforehand. So Gus said, I mean, I can hear Gus saying this because I did know Gus as a little boy. I always remember him because every time we went to St. Louis or St. Joe for some reason when I was a little boy, he always gave me $2. I don't know why, but he did. I'll never forget Gus for that. So he said, well, I'm going to test this kid. He didn't say it out loud. So he said, I'm going to have you be a driver and kind of take care of Happy Humphrey and get him around to where he needs to go. I obviously can't drive a car. And so, yeah, Dad took over just basically taking care of Happy Humphrey, getting him to and from matches. He had to wash him and clean him. And I mean, he was a
mop. Is that true?
Oh yeah. He just Humphrey lay down on a mop in the showers.
Like when you were growing up, did he tell you about those humble?
Yeah. I mean, I learned so much about my father and all these little things at night, going from town to town.
Yeah.
Because he was. Yeah, well, I mean, because he was often the world champion, most of my childhood. We were always traveling territory to territory, whether it be around the world or in America or whatever. So we always had these long drives or flights, whatever. And when we get in the car after the matches onto the next town, my mom would always go in the back of the van. They always like get a new van every year and customize it to make it comfortable to travel around all over the country or whatever. Usually the East Coast in the summer. Yeah. So we had this van and we would travel all over America. I mean, all over the place. And that's where when we get in there at night or when we leave at night, my mom would go back in the bed and sleep in the back of the van. And I'd sit in the front with my dad and I would slice his hard salami and slice his medium cheddar cheese and open the beers. Aww. And we would talk for 3-4 hours, however long it took to get to the next town. Starting from when I can remember until I was 20 some years old. I remember I did this. Yeah. Not as much as I got older, much more when I was a kid. I mean, when you're 9 years old, what are you missing when you miss school? Yeah. But when you're, when you get in high school, you have your own sports and your own things going on. You can't go as much. But yeah, that's where I got to know a lot about my father, his history, his family, what he expected me, not expected of me, or what he hoped for me in the future. That's where we talked. That was our father-son time. And if you really think about it, for the guy that works 9 to 5 and comes home and the family has dinner and someone goes to soccer practice and he has the half an hour to talk to his son after soccer practice or whatever, I probably got to speak with my father more than a lot of people did.
That's true.
It was just it was just in an interesting situation, driving down the road in the middle of the night, him drinking beer and eating salami and cheese, and me and me 7 years old being the bartender.
You're like, this is his happy place. I'll just go with
it. And well, he told somebody, who was on an interview once, he said, they asked him about smoking, drinking, whatever. He said, well, I like to smoke, I like to drink beer, and I like to drive fast. So why not do them all together? I don't think that'd be too popular nowadays, but in the 60s and 70s, people are like, yeah, whatever.
Right. Well, when I was a baby, my dad had a convertible, or a Corvette convertible.
Oh, wow.
2-seater. Yeah. And apparently there was no car seats back then. So I was just in a basket in the back window. Yeah. There's pictures of that car. And I'm like, cool.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Some of the things that happened. Oh, my God. My father and I were stopped.
And everyone was smoking in the cars then, too. So.
Oh, I mean, drinking, whatever.
Yeah.
My dad bought my mom a Porsche in 1977. And back then they were handmade in Germany and sent here. They didn't have like manufacturers all over the world. So it got here and my mom showed it off and went to her friends and all over town for a couple of days. He comes into my room one day. Come on, we're going for a ride. All right. I was 77. I'd have been 6 or 7 years old. So the funniest thing was watching him wiggle into that little car. And he gets down in it and I get in and off we go. And I'm thinking, all right, we're going to see how fast this thing goes. He gets on, he's just coasting, doing the speed limit down the highway. What the heck is going on? Well, we got to this one road where if you went south, it's a nice highway, but there's nothing there. And in fact, it was too far out of the county for the police to really patrol it. We got on that and off we went. And when you pass a police officer at that speed, what are you going to do? So couple miles up the road. Now, 1977 was when they released Smokey and the movie Smokey and the Bandit came out. I don't know if you've ever heard of that movie.
Heard of it, yes.
Yeah. Well, they set up a real 1970s Smokey and the Bandit roadblock across the freeway, way up a couple miles up ahead. The police cars nose to nose across the freeway, all the cops behind the cars with their guns drawn over the hoods and the shotguns and everything. So this is up ahead, so slow down and pull up, and the officers come around and come approaching the car, like 15 of them or whatever, something. And they're all approaching the car. They got their hands on their guns. And one of them breaks out and he comes over and he looks down inside the car. He looks down, he looks up. Mr. Reyes, do you have any idea how fast you were going? My dad said, well, the speedometer was pegged at 150. The officer said, sir, you were going 163 miles an hour. And back then it was 55 everywhere. So he said, you're going 100, you were tripling the speed limit. And my dad said, well, it's a new car. I'm just trying to break it in. And he said, well, now, sir, that it's broke in, the speed limit is about 55 or so. Would you mind signing some autographs for the guys? And yeah, I'll do it. He went out and he signed some autographs and got back in the car. We turned around and come back home and he looked over at me. Don't tell your mother.
Yeah, which we'll get into that book title.
Yeah, that's a book title. But the thing about it, though, is what you were mentioning about children. Can you imagine someone getting stopped with their 7-year-old child in the car going 163 miles an hour nowadays? I don't think you'd ever see that child again.
Right? Yeah, they'd be taken in.
Back then, I don't even know if I had a seatbelt on. So actually, the Porsche was the first one that had actual shoulder belts. They were just lap belts before that.
Oh, wow.
The foreign German car was the first one we ever had that actually had shoulder belts.
Oh, nice little fact there.
Yeah, how about that?
So talking about speeding, after the carnival days,
yeah.
Your dad was in a bad car accident where the doctors actually wanted to amputate his leg.
Mm-hmm.
And it ended up not happening. But say it did. What do you think his profession could have been if it wasn't professional wrestling?
Well, to the first part of your question or not statement, Gus Karras is the one. They were going to take his leg. Yes, he got in a head-on wreck with a semi. It was a nighttime, very snow coming down real heavy. There was a drift, and he was going in his lane. Dad was. There was a drift in the other lane, and the semi truck coming up the hill the other way, and he moved into Dad's lane to miss the snow drift, and they hit head on.
Sounds like driving here in the winter.
Yeah. Well, it killed on impact his new wife of 17. They were only 17, 18 years old, and an unborn child. And they pronounced Dad dead at the scene. And then when they got him to the hospital, they found a heartbeat. So now on, he's there for a while, and they decide they're going to have to remove his right leg. And Gus Karras, by now, he'd been with Dad for a while. Dad went through the Happy Humphrey and all this kind of stuff. And he walked into the hospital and he said, "Over my dead body, are you taking his leg?"
Yeah.
So they got orthopedics and stuff from all over the country to come in, and they saved his leg. They told him he'd never walk again. Then he started walking. He did tell his doctor, though, the one that said he'd never wrestle again. He said, "I'll tell you what, Doc, you'll sit front row on my first match back." And the doctor did. Is that right?
Wow, no way.
Yeah. I think my dad even mentioned him. I mean, this is way before I was born, but Dad even mentioned the doctor, and
how times have changed.
Yeah. So yeah,
get rid of it.
You asked what he was going to be. You want to hear something kind of funny? His choice of professions. I get when you get kicked out of school when you're in the 9th grade for knocking the principal out, your career paths are limited.
Sounds like my dad.
But his other profession, though, was he was going to become a Free Methodist minister.
Okay. So did you guys go to church frequently? I guess you probably not with him on the road.
Well, when he was in town, we went to church, sure. Yeah. My mom and I did. It was funny. The pastor and my father were really good friends. In fact, they played golf often, and the pastor and I played with them. And I've heard the pastor say things that I don't think the pastor is supposed to say on the golf course. But he was, he would, when Dad would be in town, he'd be in church, and there was 2 other gentlemen that were about my dad's size. They weren't athletes. They were just big old guys. And all of our family, like their 3 wives, all sang in the choir. So we'd sit in pews that were close to the choir. So we were kind of close to family. And whenever Pastor Maz, his name was Pastor Maz, when he'd come up to the lectern to speak, and he'd look around, he'd go, "Does anyone notice that the church is tilting this way a little bit? Oh, Harley and Bob and Wynn are here."
That's hilarious.
This
and
is
all the pros too, just
yeah. Well, this is a pastor that we had his family over for dinner one night. My dad told me to say this, but he didn't tell me he was kidding. We having dinner and everyone's there, and my father says, "Justin, why don't you say grace for dinner?" I said, "All right." I said, "Harley's great. Harley's good. Thank you, Harley, for this food. Amen." My dad kicks me under the table. I was like, "What?" And he's, "You weren't supposed to say." And pastor and his wife were just laughing. They thought it was the funniest thing ever.
Aw. I was going to say that was good.
Yeah. Just substitute Harley for God.
Yeah. So in 1964, your dad starts wrestling his handsome Harley Race.
Mm-hmm.
And he bleached his hair, becoming the ultimate cocky heel.
Mm-hmm.
Where did this name come from? Is it true his Japanese fans named him this?
Yeah. There weren't a lot of bleach blonde, 250-pound, 6-foot tall men in Japan in the 60s.
They were just like,
I mean, really, if you think about it, literally in history, that's only 20 years after World War II when we bombed them.
Yeah.
So
how old would he be in 64? Because my mom was born in 63.
My dad and mom were born in 43, so in 60 he'd been 20.
Okay. Wow. So young.
Yeah, I know. It seems weird.
Like he's in Japan wrestling, already has a career.
And the Japanese, they just started calling him what in Japanese is. It's hard to translate exactly. It's kind of like a pretty man or whatever, but in English it would be called handsome.
Okay.
And they started calling him that because of the bleached hair and they just never seen anybody like that before. Now they didn't even have TV, in pictures, black and white pictures in Time magazine or something, you might see someone like that, but they had never. So they started calling him handsome, and it stuck here. Then Bill Kurtzton here in
Did he
Kansas City.
first bleach it for Japan, or was he already bleaching it before he went? Do you know?
I think he was bleaching it before he went.
Yeah.
Yeah, he started bleaching it a long time ago.
He would have looked very foreign. Perm.
Oh yeah. Oh, even when I was there in the early 70s, when I first went there with my dad and mom, there's always just an entourage of people following us around. There was like the Japanese, they call them office boys. They're like the young wrestlers that carry the guys' bags. In my case, or in our case, carried my mom's 13 suitcases. And
mom.
Yeah. Oh, you should have seen it. Dad had arrived in Japan earlier, and Mom and I flew in a couple days later, and he was there with some of the office boys, me at the airport, Narita in Tokyo, and off comes a suitcase and another, and they all look the same. 10th one comes off, and they're still coming. He looks over at me, and I'm like, "Well, they're not mine."
And I can almost see them with like a gold sparkle down the bag or something.
Yeah, and he looks over at my mom, and she's like, "Well, we're going to be here for 3 weeks." So the office boys are lugging 13 like bags and whatever all over the place. Yeah, but so yeah, the bleach blonde that gave him the handsome thing. And as he kept going back, they liked his style of wrestling. They liked how he carried himself. Because handsome in Japanese means more than just appearance. It means kind of how you carry yourself, your politeness, your manners. There's a lot more involved in it.
I love that.
So as the Japanese people, they were scared to death of him in the ring. But as they got to know him walking down the street, like I was saying, when I was a little boy, the little kids would run up because I was a towhead when I was a kid. And they'd come and they'd pull little hairs of mine out of me. Ow! Because they'd look at it and they'd never seen a blonde hair before.
Oh my God, they're trying to clone you.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like, man, we gotta get out of here. I'm not gonna have hair left.
80s, whenever that was.
Yeah, what's that?
I said in the 70s or 80s, whenever that was.
Yeah, 70s.
70s, yeah.
And early 80s. Yeah, 80s too.
What are your favorite memories growing up with your dad backstage? Is it drinking a beer with my dad backstage?
I thought you might want me to tell that story. We were been back in the dressing room, and your father had wrestled already, and he had showered, dressed, ready to get out of the building. Dad came back after I suppose he was the main event or whatever, and he came back and he sat down, and your dad was sitting on the other side, dressed, sitting on the other side of the dressing room drinking beer. And he called me over. Just, you come over here with his British accent that I can't do very well. And I went over there. He said, you ever had a beer before? And I said, no. He said,
Wait, how old were you?
13-ish, 12-ish. I mean, I think it was in the early 80s, early to mid-ish 80s. So somewhere in there, 12, 13, 14 years old. And you never had a beer before? I said, no. So he cracked it open and handed it to me. Well, I didn't even look at my dad because I didn't know what the response was going to be. But I had seen about 1,000 wrestlers by this time in my life drink beer. So I did it like them. I tipped it back and took a couple of guzzles and just spit it out all over the dressing room.
Stone Cold?
Oh my God. Yeah, exactly. Just all over you've done that before. Drank and went down the wrong pipe and you just spit it out. Well, that the whole beer or the whole
your first taste
swallows. Yeah. And I was coughing and whatever. And my dad stands up. He's still sweating and bleeding and whatever. And he walks over. He takes what's rest of the beer, puts it right on top of your dad's head and just smashes the can. And of course the beer, he's all showered and ready to go. And beer goes running down. When my son gets his first beer, I'll give it to him. And Tommy's like, you son of a bitch, you got a shower, you ain't goddamn sot. He always called him a sot, you old sot. And went back over and I sat down with my dad. My dad looked over and smiled, cracked open a beer and handed me one.
He's like, here you go, here's your second beer.
Yeah. Well, he said if my son's going to get a beer, I'm going to give it to him. So he did.
There you go. Your first beers were with Dynamite Kid and your father, Harley Race. Yeah. That's incredible.
I got quite a buzz too.
At a WWE show? Would that, or WWF? Would that be or no?
Yeah, no, not yet.
No.
No, that would have been in the early 80s before that.
Oh,
That'd have been,
Stampede, maybe. Who knows?
yeah, or something like that. Something either something either NWA or my dad hitting a territory.
Yeah.
Because he was champion around 82. He was champion for so many years in there. There was weeks that he wasn't champion, but for the most part, he was champion.
That's funny. And amazing all at the same time. Did he ever want you to follow in his footsteps, or was he like, he knew what wrestling was about, and so he was like, no, I don't want that for my son?
I can't say that I can say that he kind of wanted it, and I only know this as I got much older in life. He and my mom decided when he won the 7th world title in 1983, the schedule they had him on was ridiculous. 300 nights a year, all over the world, another couple weeks just to travel to these matches. And I'm not talking about just Japan, Australia, New Zealand. We were in American Samoa, Singapore, then in Europe, and all over the world. And he was also getting the crap beat out of him back then in the 80s still too.
Yeah.
It was still kind of kayfabe was pretty hard. And he and my mom just decided this is no way. I'm doing this so he doesn't have to, type of thing. Now he loved it. I mean, he loved he's one of the few people. He's one of the people that he told me that he was one of the few people that enjoyed and did exactly what he wanted every day of his life. So, I mean, he wanted to do it, but he told me, he said, I want you to get an education and I want you to raise a family and I want you to be able to see your family grow up.
Right.
He's like, you don't need this. Because at that time, it was just, now, if 5-6 years later, when the traveling champion type stuff was over and then the territory stuff, that might have been a different story. But at the time when it was a decision to be made, when I was 13, 14, 15 years old, I was never offered.
Yeah.
Now, later in life, when I graduated from college, SMU in Dallas, Texas, he and I were sitting on the balcony or standing on the balcony looking over Dallas, whatever. It graduated from college like a week long. So we were getting ready for some event. And we were standing there and just having a beer and looking out there. And he said, I'm finally at peace. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, all of your life, I've wondered just a little bit if I should have broke you into the business. I've always just a little bit. And your mom and I decided we would not. But I always had this little thing. And he said, now I see you with these degrees and you're on your way in your life and business. And I'm at ease that we made the right decision.
Aww.
So, I thought that was pretty cool.
Shout out to mom, because I'm sure she had a big part in that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was mom was the only one Dad and I were scared of.
Right.
Mom said something, Dad and I were like, how high?
She's a sweetie.
Yeah, she is. She might stop in here in a minute.
Absolute sweetie. So growing up, my dad said I could never date till I was 30. Luckily for me,
I can hear him saying that. Yeah.
As a teenager and adult. But for you, what was it like growing up? Were girls scared coming around your house meeting your dad, or was he really?
Oh, not the girls. The girls like the handsome part.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, that's where you get it from. And I was like, no, he gets it from me.
They weren't intimidated?
No. It was the guy. I was lucky to grow up. I was fortunate to grow up in a very, very good school district. And I was in the same district from 2nd grade until I graduated from high school. So a lot of my friends grew up with me. Yeah. So my dad wasn't hardly ready. He was the guy that made chocolate chip pancakes in the morning when I had a sleepover to them.
Oh.
Or he was the guy that cooked steaks while my mom did the vegetables and salad for dinners. I mean, he was just that guy that hung around when we were little, and we go to there was a country club across the street from our house and the pool and the country club, and Dad would go over there and he'd go swimming, and he was like the jungle gym in the pool for all the kids. He'd like stick out his arms and he'd have kids crawling all over him and jumping off of him. He's throwing kids across the pool, and he was the entertainment.
Yes, so I grew up that way too. I particularly remember it was Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
Mhm.
And it was a barbecue at my Uncle Brett's house. And we were kids, and I don't know, he's like, we're playing with them, and I was like, pick me up like a like a 2x4. So he just used his 2 fingers and he would like lift us.
Mhm.
And we were like, oh my God, this man is so strong. He would lift us like 7-year-old kids. Just
I know.
yeah.
The Andre
Just
was
my
like
favorite.
that. Yeah, Andre was just some of those guys. It's just you can't describe how big that man was. It just
Yes, you
descriptions.
posted a hilarious photo the other day of your dad and Andre.
Oh, with him, dad in a headlock. Dad
Yeah.
having Andre. I know Andre's head
He
looked
looks
like.
like a 2-year-old or something.
Yeah, my dad looks 2, or Andre's head looks like it's about a yard around or a meter. But yeah, those guys are cool. But the bigger they were, the nicer they were, though.
Right.
Hmm.
Don't judge a book by its cover.
Oh no.
So I know that you took someone to show and tell, but I can't remember who it was. And I want to know if you can tell that story.
I just kind of mentioned him.
Was it Andre?
I've taken a couple guys to show and tell, but yeah, I took Andre to show and tell.
Oh my God.
The only people he was so big that he didn't intimidate kids. They were so in awe.
They just climb him like, ooh.
He was more like a fairy tale being or something to them. I mean, the principal and the vice principal and all the teachers were scared to death.
Yeah.
I mean, they were like scattering as he was walking down the hall. And you're talking about an elementary school hallway, so it's about an Andre wide. Maybe an Andre and a small person.
Do you know what grade you were in?
Second, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, it seems like that, about second grade, yeah.
Was everyone like, you're so cool? Like, oh my God.
Well,
like, did they know about wrestling, or did they just think you brought
Yeah, they did a little bit. I mean, they did because of me. I mean, now other schools, I don't know if they
there
knew.
wouldn't have been TV and social
Exactly.
media.
So because of my father, they knew me.
Yeah.
And, they're over at our house when I have friends over, and their wrestlers come over to our house and whatever. So after a while, they start telling their parents, every time I go to Justin's house, everyone there weighs over 300 or 400 pounds. And then their parents start like, he's the wrestler. So it kind of gets, after you've been in the same district in the same neighborhoods and, location from second grade to 18, you're pretty well known.
That's hilarious.
And it's also the fun thing, though. The fun part that my friends and I had was when someone new would move into the district, like and kind of join our little group or clique or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. And they said, okay, we're going to take him. We're going to bring him over to your dad's or to your house. I was like, okay, I'll get him ready. So I said, Dad, I got a new friend coming over. He's like, all right. So they say, now we're going over to Justin's, pick Justin out. I don't think his dad's there, but if his dad is there, just be quiet. Don't say anything. Just kind of look down at the floor, and Justin will get ready real quick and we'll get out of there. And I mean, the kid's like, holy shit. So they pull up and they go up in the driveway. Dad would purposely answer the door. By this time, the kid's peeing his pants. Yeah. And who are you? My name's Steve. And my friends are just cracking up in the background. And Dad would get him into the foyer of the room. Finally, Dad would break a smile and say, how you doing? It's nice to meet you. He's like, God damn it, guys. I mean, he literally, I saw literal pee spots in a couple of guys' pants. My friends had a blast with it. I was just like, all right. They kept saying, hey, can we do it again? Can we do it again? I asked my dad, but yeah, I suppose.
Oh, would have been funny if Andre was at the door. And
he did that too.
The bear and...
Yeah, when Andre was, because Andre would come and visit us.
Happy Humphrey.
He wouldn't be like working in Kansas City. He would just come in town just to hang out. He just liked hanging out. And there was a clothing store here in Kansas City that made clothes for him.
Yeah.
So, because again, in the 70s, where do you get clothes that big? And Dad would call the owner of the store before they'd go down there. And he'd say, that big son of a bitch is in town again. Get ready to make some boat covers. They'd take him downtown and they'd shop. But yeah, he hung out with us and got to know him on a family type thing. It was fun.
I got to meet him.
Did you? Cool.
Yeah, I did. It was WrestleMania 7. After my dad had left, Brett took us to LA. Mm-hmm. And yeah, that was 97 for WrestleMania 7. And I didn't realize until like more recently that was a Mania. But yeah, I met Andre in the lobby of our hotel with my Uncle Brett.
Boy, that
And
must have been just before he passed, or
must
not
have been.
long before. Yeah.
I was just a kid, and we were in the lobby, and he's right in front of the piano. And
You could actually see the piano behind him?
yes.
Kind
Kind of.
an
At
angle.
his ankles. And big tall ceiling, and I'm walking up with my Uncle Brett, and he introduces me to Andre, and I shake his hand. I'm 7 years old, and his hands just covered my little hand.
Yeah, it goes up to about here on your. He takes your arm.
But we didn't, back then camera's not as common, so I don't have a picture, but the picture is so clear in my mind. But
yeah, he was such a nice man too. You could slide. Oh, I don't know how much this will made to you in Canada, but you could slide a silver dollar through the ring on his ring finger, which a silver dollar is about an inch and a half, 2 inches in diameter. Yeah. And you could slide a silver dollar through his ring.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, his ring was that big. So one of his rings. But he was such a nice
Did your dad your dad must have drank with him.
Oh God, yeah. They drank to see who could drink more, who could drink the most.
A documentary, he could drink 21 bottles of wine or something crazy.
I saw him drink 11 at WrestleMania 3, but that was with breakfast. That was before the show. But by that time he drank all the time. He was in pain. He drank for pain.
He was so
also, right, and he drank 11 bottles of red wine at breakfast. After the show, they had a big party in the ballroom of the hotel. Andre went in there. He set down a half gallon of vodka, a half gallon of gin, a gallon of orange juice, and drank it all. And this is at a party, not all day. This was like a 2-3 hour party or 4 hour party. Yeah. And this is after the 11 bottles of red wine with breakfast. It was crazy. You were talking about the ceiling. When he came over our basement at our big house when I was growing up, we had like a pool table room and a bar and a dance floor and a media room and all, this was huge, really cool party basement, but it was 7-foot ceilings. Yeah. Andre was 7'4" or 6", whoever wants to decide on that one. So Andre'd get down and he's humped over, and there's only 2 chairs benches that Dad would allow him to sit on because he broke everything else. And they were these old, the wooden church pews. They're like 3 people wide, made of solid oak. We had 2 of those by the pool table, like for pool table people to watch. And so he'd sit there. But once he sat down, he wasn't getting back up again because he has 7-foot ceiling. I'd hear, "Justin, you bring me beer." And that's what I did all night long, was run back and forth from refrigerator to Andre. And he drank tall boys too, the 16-ounce ones, and you couldn't even see the beer. People say you can't see a beer. You couldn't see a tall boy in his hand. And I don't know, I lost track at 100.
Yeah. That reminds me also of my cousin Harry Smith. Not quite as big as Andre, but I have gone to all-you-can-eat sushi with him and had him over at Christmas time. Do you want a drink, Harry? And it would be like every 2 minutes I'm getting him a drink because he's like, gone.
Did the sushi place go out of business?
Yes. Oh, we had a place here called
You eat all our inventory.
Yeah, he would just like go and go and go. And I was like, I'm tired. Can we leave? But we had a place here called Mongoli Grill, and that's where you just go and you would weigh your noodles and weigh your meat, and like you pick what you want, and then they weigh it. You put your sauce and everything, cook it in front of you.
Yeah, they have them in Japan. Yeah,
it's like that, and it's not here anymore. But they had like a wall of fame of who had the heaviest bowl, and Harry was on the top.
Oh wow!
Like, every time I'd go with my friends, like, that's my cousin.
That's awesome. Yeah. They drank. Well, Dad had one of those parties after what I was talking about when Andre was there, after the matches. And one time Bubba was there and Andre was there. And Dad finally got my father had to pay. He couldn't sing a note, couldn't play a musical instrument, save his life. But my mom was very musically inclined. She had guitars and ukuleles and this and that. And by 4:00 in the morning, my dad had the ukulele out, singing in his worst voice he could possibly sing, "The party's over, go home, please," with his ukulele, just walking around the basement trying to kick people out. And they finally got everyone out of there. And Bubba happened to be staying with us that time with his wife, Motoko. So by now it's 5:00 in the morning, and Dad comes downstairs, down to the basement again to see the devastation of the party. And Bubba is sitting at the bar. And My dad said, Bubba, what the hell are you doing? Bubba grabs a half gallon of Jack Daniels, sets it on the bar, and says, now, boss, we drink. Bubba, it's 5 o'clock in the morning. I've been drinking on. Boss, we drink. So they did.
You gotta listen to Bubba.
Yeah. It was only a half gallon. Probably only took him, I don't know, an hour or two.
Right.
God.
So we've talked a lot about your dad, and I so appreciate all the stories, but I do want to dive into a little bit about who you are as well.
I'm just.
And I know Mom's going to pay us a visit too. So
I think so. Yeah, she's out there somewhere. I'm just.
your
my
book.
goal.
You want to talk about that?
What's that?
Your book.
Oh,
Can we talk
yeah.
about that?
I've just made it in the last, I don't know, 5-6 years. With technology, old school wrestling has become so popular, and 4, 5, 6 years when I started really like getting involved in this social media type issues, is I have 20-some-year-old kids coming up and telling me my dad's their favorite wrestler and recognizing me.
Same. Yeah.
And telling me that my dad's their favorite wrestler. Yeah. And I'm like, how old are you? 23. I mean, you weren't even born when he retired. Heck, he retired 10 years before you were born. Yeah. How do you like him so much? Oh, we watch him on YouTube all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh. So as this kept developing and developing, I was like, man, old school wrestling is making a comeback. And I started talking with some of the promotions here in America, like Herb Simmons out of St. Louis, that are trying to bring that kind of wrestling back in the indie circuit. So I got a lot interested in it, and I knew, but I didn't know quite the gravity that it held, that my father kind of symbolizes old school wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I came on the scene, and then there was that Dark Side of the Ring episode, but I started doing interviews here and there with podcasts, and it just kept growing and growing and growing. And when people found out that pretty much my mission in life, I mean, obviously I have my career and whatever, but my mission in life is to make sure that my father's legacy lives on. And one of the best ways, besides this sort of thing and going to events and signing autographs, things like that, is I'm writing a book about my father and I, and it's called Don't Tell Your Mother. And it's just like the Porsche story. It's all a bunch of hundreds of stories of my dad and I doing this and that. And at the end of it, it would always, don't tell your mother. And I'll do podcasts now, even today, and I'll tell a story. And after I get done, she'll come, you guys did what? And he said, well, I said, well, he didn't tell you when I was 35 or something. He said, don't tell you. So I never did. But it's just, it's just a funny book. Dad was the character.
I mean, all the rest it's gonna come out, or are you just kind of still?
It's fairly written. I mean, it's almost completed as far as being written. It's most of it's with the editor right now, and then it'll be on to publishing. So I hope early next year. I mean, it's hard to tell on these kind of things. I was hoping it was going to be done almost a year ago now, but I found writing it was a lot harder than I thought.
Emotionally. You find it that's what I was going to say, like kind of.
Well, you sit here for 5, 6, 8, 9, whatever hours, just typing and typing and typing about all these fun stories and all these fun memories. And you stop and you close the computer and you look up and you see the picture and you're like, yeah, he's still dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it's like a joyful day of memories. And then at the end of the day, it's like, oh yeah, I woke up from the dream. I literally had to stop writing for a while because it was making me depressed.
How long of a break did you take?
Well, nothing just like a couple weeks here, a couple weeks there. When it gets over.
I mean,
I've learned to go as long as to stop myself before it gets to that. In other words, when I start kind of running out of words or I'm not having fun with it, I'm like, you know what, I need to take a couple of days off. Rather than getting to the point where I'm like in tears at the end of the day. And it's like, man, that's a little late then. Needed to kind of watch that earlier. But so, and then, it's challenging it's very easy to tell a story about, the police officer saying, Mr. Race, do you have any idea how fast you were going? But you're looking at my face, and my facial expressions and my intonations with my voice, and you get it. Try to write that. It takes a special type of wording to actually make it funny.
Oh my
'Cause when
gosh,
you-
and punctuation and everything.
yeah, well, yeah, and it's just
The whole thing.
it's constantly the I guess you had to be there thing. But
Yeah.
if you write it properly, they didn't have to
Yeah.
be there. You can make it funny, but it's
Yeah.
a heck of a lot of work to take. Like I said, where I can sit here and talk with my hands and you can see my
Mhm.
face and you can see it's
Yeah.
a lot easier. It's a lot harder to put that on paper than it is just
So
to,
you have to create a visual.
yeah, here I am thinking, oh, I'm just going to sit down and write a book. I'm just going to tell a bunch of stories and the book will be done.
Yeah.
And that isn't how it's going at all.
It's going to be awesome. I know it is because you're an amazing
Thank you.
storyteller.
My
You're
mom
very
is writing a book.
intelligent.
My mom is writing a book too.
Yeah.
Hers is called Life with a King.
So
And it's a
cool.
memoir of her and my father. Well, memoir of her from her little girl on up. But
Is she actually writing it, or does she have someone help?
yeah, she's writing it too.
That's
Yeah.
so
Both somewhat authors, I guess. I'll find out if I'm an author when the editor gets back to me. He comes back, he's like, "Do you even speak English?" I'll know that I'm not good a writer.
Well, you're fluent in Japanese as well, so
I was. I went there. I mean, I went there a lot when I was a kid. I went to college there in 1993 to 94. And I also worked there. I managed a bar and grill there for a while after I finished college. So I was fluent, yeah, when I lived there, but it's hard to remain fluent in Japanese in Kansas.
true.
I don't really have anybody to talk to. And I mean, and maybe if I'd have, I kind of probably could have worked on it, put a little more effort into keeping my Japanese up when I came back to America. You know, there's Japanese aside. I'm sure I can find some people I could have gone and kept my Japanese
Maybe it's
up.
like riding a bike.
Yeah, well,
I
not
don't know.
really, not that, and not Russian. Those are the two languages that I know a little bit of, and neither one of those are like riding a bike. But I don't know. Japan was always they've always been a kind country to my family, so I can never thank the Japanese people enough, really.
I can't wait to go. I've never been.
Oh, it's cool.
It's
cool to go.
Bucket
It's
list.
cool to go. Like visit, you know, a couple weeks or like on tour when I was with my father, whatever. When I lived there, I lived in a home in the suburbs of Osaka.
Yeah.
And I knocked myself out walking into my bedroom a couple of times because I walked right into the door frame.
Yeah, there's like little bunks.
Yeah, it's like living in Hobbitville. Everything is small. I mean, everything is small. They got me a twin bed. They sleep on the floor. They call them tatami mats. They're rice mats, and they sleep on the floor. Well, they got me a bed because they didn't figure I was American guys didn't want to sleep on the floor. And it was a box springs and a single bed. But the thing was, it came to about mid calf on my as far as being long. So I just had to learn to sleep in the fetal position. They were so proud of this bed and all. And I'm like, wow, that's really cool. Is there any more to it? Does it extend a little?
You still sleep like this?
Yeah. So yeah, I learned to sleep with my knees up to it. But they're just marvelous people.
Can you talk about Christmas with your dad? I know that you've shared special memories with him.
Well,
Christmas
Dad
is a
never
happy memory
worked
for you.
in my life. He never worked Christmas. He wouldn't work Christmas. He was world champion. They'd want him to work Christmas, and he said, "No, I won't." Sorry, no. And he was kind of a Clark Griswold kind of guy, which kind of wore off on me. He did a lot of decorating on the outside of the house, and he had fun with Christmas. He liked
hat like that too, because my dad wore those.
What?
The ear flap hats.
Oh yeah. The thing about my dad is his hair was a hat.
Yeah, true.
He never wore. Occasionally he'd wear a hat when we were snow skiing, and never wore gloves. That's how warm his body was all the time.
Yeah.
But one funny thing about Christmas, though, he'd buy these natural fronds and make this big, huge wreath around the entrance to our home. And I mean, it was probably 9-10 foot tall. And then that wide, and went around the whole front double doors, like this little alcove before the double doors going in the house. And he put Christmas lights on, and that was his Christmas wreath. Well, he traveled a lot. When he was in town, he didn't really want to do that much. Well, he was out in the front yard one day, and the neighbor across the street said, "Harley, you ever going to take that Christmas wreath down?" Dad looks up and looks down. He grabs the top and pulls it down. He takes the bottom with his foot and pulls it up. And he said, "There, Bob. Now it's an Easter egg." That's Dad. Look who's here. Hey, Mom.
Yeah.
Hey, my mom's here.
Aw, she's coming to say hello.
Yeah, she will here in a second. Do you have any other questions for me before she comes?
I do, but we can spin them out quick or try to pick what's good here. Hold on.
No, that's all right. Take your time. I'm in no rush.
Okay, so we were talking about Christmas. Do you have a good story about our dads together?
Besides the one of my dad pouring the beer over his head.
Like, what's your favorite story?
Let me think. It was probably. What is that one I told you that not the one about the beer, but there was another story I told you about your dad and my dad. I told you this not long ago. Do you remember what it was? I'm trying to think of the doggone story.
I can't remember. Was it about this picture?
Oh yeah. That's dad
Okay.
my dad and Tommy at the Ribera in Japan, and they got a little drunk.
I'll post a picture of it because it's the light's reflecting.
Well, that's okay. So they decided that they were going to autograph the picture, but they were going to sign each other's name. Dad would sign Dynamite Kid, and Tommy would sign Handsome Harley Racer, however he was going to sign it. So what did my dad end up writing?
Okay, he wrote
barely legible. And of course, my dad
wrote Dynamite Kid.
Yeah, but my father,
But
remember, he left school. Remember, my father left school in the 9th grade. He didn't know how to spell dynamite to save his life. So whatever that says.
Definitely doesn't say dynamite. Looks like there's an S on the end. Like there's an M in the middle.
Smartest guy I've ever met, but he didn't know how to spell.
He crossed his D in kid.
So he wrote dynamite what? Did he get it right?
Dynamite. It almost says kit.
So my dad got it right, and your dad wrote what?
My dad said 7 times fuck. No, full of shit. The kid.
7 times full of shit.
And then he wrote the kid, but he was supposed to write Harley.
Yeah. The Ribera that is a place of stories. That is a museum in itself. When you walk into Ribera, you have to go there when you're there. When you go to Japan.
So cool that I have that photo.
I know. I love that photo. But yeah, the Ribera is special. You see autographs and photos of guys that are long gone, that you haven't seen in 20 years, that you saw a week ago in another part of the world. It's really cool. It's kind of like a mecca for wrestlers in Japan.
Again, I will be going one day.
Oh, sure. Yeah, you have to go there.
So I do have a few fan questions.
Mm-hmm.
So someone asked, hold on, wait. Can't read this. Because I wrote with like permanent marker on the back. It's like, how did your mother handle the stresses of the wife of a wrestler trying to keep the family going while your dad was on the road?
You want her to answer that?
Sure.
Here, got a question for you from a fan.
Hi.
Hi, honey. How are you?
I'm fine.
She's got her American Airlines hat.
I don't have my makeup on, so I'm covering my face up.
Oh, well, you're always beautiful.
What was the question?
I have a fan question here. How did you handle the stresses of being a wife of a wrestler and keeping the family together while he was on the road?
I didn't do a very good job.
That's okay. We're all human, but I don't think that's true.
All the time because Jim Barnett had him just going crazy. He's home 3 days a month, and to keep the family together, I did that. But
it was hard.
Difficult, the best you could, and you raised an amazing son, so I applaud you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mom. One thing that was cool, it took a little bit of the stress off when they realized they wanted him champion for a long time for a reason. They knew they could send him anywhere in the world, and the belt was coming back to America with him. There isn't anybody on earth that's going to shoot on him and try to take it from him and keep it for their country. That wasn't going to happen. So they trusted that they were going to keep the belt was going to stay in America no matter where they sent him. They also realized if you're going to put a guy on that schedule, especially a guy that likes to be with his family, you're going to have to fly his family with him. So the promoters, whether
Ooh,
it's Bubba in Japan or Ron Williams or Ron Miller in Australia or Sam Mushnick or Eddie Grant, whatever, often would cover, fly my mom with my dad so we could spend time together because they knew he wasn't going to last working that much if he was never going to be home. So we did get to spend quite a bit of time together as a family, and I spent a lot of time with my dad. Just wasn't at our home.
Yeah.
It was in some city somewhere in the world.
When he was home, I would take the phone off the hook do I have chocolate frosting on?
No, she made a chocolate cake. No, you're good. Yeah.
What was I saying?
What?
When he was home.
Oh, yeah.
I would take the phone off the hook for 3 hours and we'd have a big long dinner and talk about what we're going to do. And one night we decided that we were going to go on a cruise. And so we did have some good times, but it was an abusive marriage.
Yeah.
A lot of them were.
Yes. But good times were had as well. And we are here today to talk about the positive, right?
Yeah.
We had, I remember, like I said, she was the only one he and I were scared of. I think my mom's like, how my middle name's Justin. If I ever hear Justin Michael Race, I know I'm in trouble. My mom's favorite thing to say when my dad was doing goofy things, Harley. She was just like he was a kid. We were on a plane one time going from somewhere we were going to Miami to go on a cruise. I know that. And dad's sitting in the aisle, mom's sitting in the aisle across from him, and I'm sitting with him or whatever. And these two little old ladies are right in front of us in their little sundresses. Dad puts a thing up on the luggage up here, and there's these two little straw hats sitting up there. And so he sits down, and I knew he's going to say something. I can just tell. He talks very little, but when he says something, it's usually either hilarious or full of wisdom. And I can tell like 2 or 3 minutes before he's going to speak because I can just tell him, I can see him formulating things in his head. And finally, the plane starts to back up so no one can stand or anything. He leans forward and he says, "I wonder whose straw hats those were I just crushed." And he sat back and smiled, and I started laughing. My mom, "Harley!" She got so mad at him. These little old ladies are nervous, and they're just so worried about their hats. The whole flight, they get there. Of course, their hats are fine and whatever. My mom's just like, "Harley, would you stop doing stuff?" She was just constantly. She was like our mother.
Yeah.
I think some of the times that like that were fun, but yet I was babysitting both of them.
Right. Of course.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You did a good job.
Yes. Thank you. I made it. I
actually have a question from my mom. She wrote a question for you. Well, you know what? It's on my phone.
Is that your studio?
This is my office.
Oh.
All my wrestling memorabilia, but I need a bigger space. I have so much not even displayed. I have a bunch of my dad's like Japanese trophies, and I just don't have the space in this room.
Who knows where that stuff is? After moving and years and years and years,
they're broken, but some of them are broken.
Well, that trophy that you see pictures of often with fought my dad and the WNWA belt, like kind of in the top of it, sitting on the top of it, and he's standing behind the trophy. For years, people said that stayed in Japan. I said, no, he brought it home with him. Yeah. Finally, I took a picture of it sitting in our trophy room in the library at our home, and I sent, I had to actually take a picture and send it by mail to someone to say, there, it's sitting in my room, in my house, because the thing weighed 100 pounds.
And then they're like, I'll offer you $1 million.
As we're getting on the plane, though, of course, the office boys are carrying the trophy. You ought to have seen the look on the flight attendant's face when we got on the plane with that trophy.
I bet, because they're like spiky and stuff. If they're like mine.
Oh well, yeah, I mean, there were all kinds of different, but some of them were 6 foot tall. I mean, where the heck are they going to put it?
Yeah.
And we would just go and sit down and let the office boys deal with the Japanese flight attendants on where they were going to put it.
That's so funny. All right, so this one's from my mom.
Okay.
When Harley came to our house, he always had an eye or ear out to fix something. Some things he fixed are our dishwasher, our washer, our dryer, and Bronwyn's wooden high chair. What's the craziest thing you know your dad fixed? And did he teach you how to be a handyman?
Yes and no. Um, he worked so much that during those type of years, those father son, this is how you know, build this, or this is how you fix a light bulb or whatever. He would travel so much that he'd come home and my mom would say, Harley, the sink doesn't work, or Harley, this doesn't work. And he'd say, well, call a plumber.
All right.
I'm not doing it. I just flew in from Japan. I'm tired. So some of that stuff I missed out on, and I was kind of self-taught when I bought my own home, because he just rather would have paid someone to have it done than have to do it. He was too tired, so I didn't learn a lot on that aspect. I mean, he did teach me some easy things, but I'm not much of a carpenter.
That must have been like just his, I don't know, away from home, his like fatherly instincts were kicking in, and I guess
yeah. I mean, he'd rather take me out to play golf and let the plumber fix the plumbing.
Fair.
So
that's amazing.
So was that all of your mom's question?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was. The last
read it to me again. Read your mom's question to me again, because it didn't sound like I answered it all. Your mom?
Yeah. The craziest thing you know your dad fixed.
Oh, well, he didn't actually fix this, but this is a funny story. We're down at our lake house. There's a lake about 2.5 hours southeast of here in Missouri, south central Missouri. We had a house down there when I was growing up. And my dad, long story short, we had, boats and docks and whatnot. And the home was up here. Well, Dad's standing in the water fixing the electrical wire that runs down the plank toward the dock, so you have dock lights and light and power for your hydro hoist for your boats and stuff. And he's standing about chest deep in water with the hammer, the sharp ends of the hammer into the wire. And he grabbed a hold of it, and he just started shaking, and I'm like 5 feet away from him. Like, what's wrong with him? And he started shaking, and finally he just let out this yell and pulled backward and threw the hammer halfway across the cove. And he looked up, oh, Yvonne, what the hell are you doing? And she's up there, and she said, what? Did you? And she said, I just plugged my fountain in. He's like, it's on the same switch. So he said it was like a belt it was around his chest. He'd never felt anything like it. It was like strapping and pulling, right. And he couldn't breathe or anything. Finally, he just yanked out. If he hadn't been as strong as he was, I don't know if he'd been able to pull himself off or not. And I just wanted to see if my fountain worked. Yeah. That electrocuted him. So he didn't actually fix it, but that was a funny Yvonne and Harley. Yeah. This is a Yvonne and Harley do-it-yourself project.
That is hilarious.
He's the
what
one
life you've lived.
Yeah.
You see why you're ready.
He was the one up in the tree yelling, and she's the one, plug which one in? The other one, the white one. He's up in the tree trying to put Santa up there.
Yeah. Well, so I'd like to do a little thing called this or that. It's just pick which one you like better. I'll say two things, and you tell me which one you like better.
Okay. Royals
or Chiefs?
Chiefs.
Sunday dinner with the Hearts or backyard barbecue with the Von Erichs?
Oh, God.
How would you like better? But, well.
I'd do the Hearts.
I'd do the Hearts.
Yeah, absolutely.
Coffee house performance from Robert Plant or Led Zeppelin reunion at the Arrowhead Stadium?
Arrowhead Stadium.
I believe that's your favorite band, if I'm correct.
Yes, Led Zeppelin. And Arrowhead is where the Chiefs play.
Exactly. I did my
actually saw Pink Floyd there once.
Oh, wow. What year?
In 87 or 8 or something in there. I don't remember much of the concert. I was slightly inebriated.
I was going to say.
I do remember hearing the song Comfortably Numb, and I think they were carrying me. I'm honest, if nothing else.
WWF in the 80s or NWA in the 70s?
NWA in the 70s.
Handsome Harley Race or King Harley Race?
Handsome.
That completes my this or that.
The King. Well, thank you. Those are cool questions, actually. The King thing. One thing about that is people look at it as a gimmick, and my dad never did a gimmick. I mean, even your
Yeah.
dad. I mean, British Bulldogs. It wasn't necessarily a gimmick. They were from Great Britain. But the king thing, that was something that Dad pulled. Dad pulled one over on Vince on that. Then he came up with the king concept. Then Vince came up with this, oh, we'll do this big tournament and you'll be the king of wrestling and then we'll coronate you the king. And thinking this is just going to be another one of the things that he did to the older guys when they went up to wrestle for him was try to make fun of them almost, or certainly not use their talent and their knowledge.
Right.
And so that's what he figured with my dad. He'd make a cartoon character out of my dad. Oh, what Dad knew was going to happen, and what Vince didn't realize was that when they made him the king of wrestling, he became the king of wrestling, like the Arnold Palmer of golf or the Richard Petty of auto racing.
He made it work.
He's like they don't call Haku or Randy Savage or any of the other King of the Ring kings or whatever. They don't call them king, but they still call my dad king, and that was 30 years ago. And all the guys, young and old, when I remember at an event, when they talk about my dad, they either refer to him as the boss or the king.
And I'll never forget meeting him. And I have pictures with him as a child, which I'll put into this interview.
Yeah,
And
she has some cute pictures with that. Dad put the crown on her head
Oh,
when she was a little girl. The
It's
little
at my house too. So I think my mom was like, put it on. She probably made it.
yeah.
Oh
Put
my
the crown
God.
on her head, Harley.
Yeah.
And it would have just went right down over your neck. He was probably
Yeah.
holding up.
Yes, very much.
I remember meeting Bronwyn when Dad. I don't know where it was, but I remember meeting you when I was pretty young.
Yeah.
You were about the same age as the picture I saw you with my dad.
Yeah,
Actually.
this would have been like 3.
Yeah. Well,
Was
I
there
love
anything
your.
that you would like to plug? Any exciting events you have going on? I know you've had so much going on with your dad's legacy, and
Right now, we're focused on getting the books finished. I mean, you know how the business is that fall and winter slow down a little bit as far as events and things like that.
yeah,
People don't want to go out, go to a wrestling match at 7:00 when it got dark at 5. So books are concentration right now.
it's a good time to write.
To get that once it's to where it's kind of out of my hands, except for advice or whatever they want it, then I can start moving on and going out and actually promoting a tentative release date and things like that. But right now I'm going to spend the fall, and until I get done, I'm going to spend writing.
That
And I think
sounds
that's what
excellent.
Mom's going to be doing too. She's has a separate editor and whatever, separate type of books, but
no, I have an editor. You never want to edit your own book.
no.
I'm sure. No,
As an editor, no,
sounds
you
like a
don't.
lot of work.
Well, I've had one of my hats in my life has been an editor. I can edit anything, but my own stuff, no, I can't edit it because
Well,
my brain sees what's supposed to be there, even though it isn't there.
I wish you guys all the best with your books, and
Well, thank
I
you so
hope
much,
that we
Bronwyn.
can collab soon at
I
a
hope so,
convention,
too.
something like that. I'm trying to push myself and get out there. And
I know you are. You're doing a great job, by the way. You're really publicizing.
actually, I did have a
yourself
question.
now.
If you have any advice for me, because you've done such a great job
Oh.
continuing your dad's legacy, and I'm kind of trying to do what you're doing, trying to push for the Hall of Fame.
If there's anything I think that surprises people that I do more than anything of really any celebrity type that they've ever talked or been known of, is I try to respond to as many people as I can. I mean, we're not
I do that too.
paragraphs,
I've
but I
always
don't.
been that way. I reply to
Yeah, I
everyone.
don't get into conversations. I don't have time. I mean, when you get 1,000 or more a day, I don't have time. But I can give a thumbs up or a thank you or whatever, just at least acknowledging. And I bet you somewhere between 50 and 60% of the time, I'll get oh, wow, I didn't expect to hear back from you. Or, oh, is this really you? And that really personalizes it much more. I mean, especially with the guys nowadays thinking the fans need to bow down on their knees when they walk into the ring, rather than how it used to be where the wrestlers were honored that the fans came into the room to get their autograph. Now these guys are lucky to give you an autograph for $100 if you're a wheelchair bound child.
Yeah.
They're
I think
just
we get that
so
from our
full of
fathers. They're
Yeah,
very
they're so full
humble
of
and
themselves, and
yeah.
it's sickening. So I mean, I like it how it used to be, and that's how I'm trying to, that. And with the YouTube, like I was talking about earlier, with old school wrestling coming back, and people seeing that there's a whole different version of wrestling. There's real wrestling out there that isn't WWE. I mean, you watch a WWE. I went to Raw when it was in town here several months ago. First thing, I'm looking at the ring going, what does a 10-foot ladder have to do with wrestling? Sitting in the middle of the ring. Now, yeah, Abdul the Butcher back in the day and Bruiser Bro, they had their hidden forks and knives and cut the hell out of each other, but we didn't have ladders in the ring. It just
I know when I saw them recently, it was like there was a weapon every match, and I'm like,
yeah. And she was there. How much do you think they actually wrestled for the 3-hour show? Did they wrestle at 30 minutes?
Your dad wrestled.
No. When we went down to Raw down at Sprint Center the other night, a couple months ago, they probably wrestled 20 minutes out of the 30.
I know, and there's a lot of
3-hour show. Yeah. All it is promos for the next show.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we're at a show now. Do this show first.
Yeah.
So yeah, I miss that, and that's why I think that people now are flipping around YouTube, and they're just Googling or YouTubing Harley Race or your dad or whatever, and they're finding all these old black and white film. I'm like, where are these people?
Yeah.
Heck, they send me pictures, family pictures of me and my mom and my dad, and I'm like, where in the hell did they get this? This is at our home. Who took this? So with technology, I mean, you might as well take advantage of it. And we have the advantage of being able to extend our father's legacies by using this vehicle. So I think it's wonderful.
Yeah. And that is exactly what I'm doing. Everything I'm doing with this podcast, when this is released in the corner, it'll be Dynamite Kid for Hall of Fame. So my whole point is trying to get my dad into the Hall of Fame.
I know you are. I know you are. I'm working with you, and I'm really trying to. I'm talking to people all the time about that.
Even if it doesn't
that
happen,
needs to be in there. Yeah, he needs to be in there.
Yeah, the movie is in the making right now, and that's our journey right now. So very similar with you in the writing. I get it. My mom's actually helping write the script, so she's going through those emotions right now as well. And the producers.
Four of us will have to chat sometime.
4 of us. Let's do something.
And with
I would say lunch, but we're in Canada, so we can do
virtual lunch. Yeah, we'll all act like we're eating together. Well,
so thank you so much again.
Absolutely.
Everyone, please remember.
Thank you so much. Everyone, thank you out there. Continue to watch this young girl. She's amazing.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for watching Dirt with the Doll, episode 4 with my good friend Justin Race. Please remember to subscribe to X Brand Wrestling on YouTube, Dirt with the Doll, and I'll see you guys next time.
Bye all. Thank you.
Bye-bye.